Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no-holds-barred forum for leaders and innovators with award-winning business strategist and financial analyst, LaWanna Bradford with the Bradford Group. With Raw Talk, we are empowering women to rise and succeed in business and finances, and improve the world for the next generation. Get ready to get raw and real. Live each Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on e360tv.com.
Good evening and happy National Entrepreneur Day. I am so excited to be here with you. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no-holds-barred forum for leaders and innovators, is a platform where entrepreneurs, creators, corporate executives, and influencers come together to discuss business and finance, to push the envelope, to step out of the box, to remove any barriers and hindrances preventing us from elevating and achieving the best that we were intended to do in our respective business lanes, and to ensure that we have the finances that we need to do to advance our mission, to make an impact, to leave a legacy, to have the influence that we want in the world. And today is National Entrepreneurs Day, and I want to know how many of you are out there are entrepreneurs or even thinking about joining the entrepreneur ranks. It is amazing to see that in the U.S. alone, there are 31 million entrepreneurs. 31 million. That's 16% of the workforce. So it shows you the force that we have in fueling this economic engine and in being a resource to help our employment rates, right? To influence the economics of the world. And we have a mighty voice and a mighty presence. And it is real important for us to be celebrated and recognized for the contributions that we bring to our country and to the world. And when I think about women as entrepreneurs, there are 13 million women who are entrepreneurs. And these women are rising to the entrepreneurial ranks in waves. Then the pandemic really shook a lot of people up. And we've heard of the Great Resignation, and that women who are feeling sandwiched between taking care of senior parents as well as children and trying to figure out, how can I juggle this life that I have while still being able to provide for my family, while still being able to contribute to the greater society and to live my dreams. And guess what? Being an entrepreneur allows you to do all of that and so much more. As for me, I've been an entrepreneur for, I don't want to say how many decades, but I cannot believe it is going on 40 decades that I have been an entrepreneur. I started my first business at 17, my first traditional brick and mortar at 24. I had a licensed sporting apparel store. And for those of you that are wondering what is that, when you think of licensed sporting apparel, think about all of your major leagues, your baseball, football, NFL, hockey, collegiate leagues. So we sold those sports apparel as well as memorabilia. And I had a blast doing that. In fact, we had the opportunity of sponsoring a middleweight contender in Las Vegas. He fought Tommy Hearns. His name was Andrew Maynard, and he was our fighter. And it was just amazing to see all of our paraphernalia and our apparel on national TV. You know, here I am, this kid in my 20s, and being able to sponsor a major fighter in Caesar's Palace. And that's just something that I wouldn't have imagined had I only been in the corporate world. But being able to have those experiences and shifts, and with anything, as I was learning business, one of the things that challenged us was growth. We were getting so much demand, but we didn't have the capacity or the funding power, if you will, in order to meet the demand. Because when we were ordering for vendors, they wanted payment in, net 30, net 60. And we had to do bulk orders. And sometimes we were thinking, okay, this might be too much to order to meet the demand that we had on the other side. And because of that, we ended up eventually going out of business. That happens, right, in business. But the one thing that I love about the entrepreneurial spirit is when you are truly an entrepreneur, and I'm not just talking about someone that's sick and tired of the corporate grind and creates a job for themselves, but I'm saying that true entrepreneur who is innovative and is creative, and there's like this burning desire inside you. You find a way to rebound, to pick yourself up, to rebuild, to refocus, reimagine yourself, if you will, and do something different. And that's what we did. We ended up doing consulting, which we still do today. And I have two companies, fast forward to 2022. The Bradford Group, which is a commercial investment mortgage company. We are celebrating 17 years. I can't believe that. And then our business management consulting company, the Bradford Group Consulting, is in its 12th year. So it is amazing, the roads, right? The ebbs and flows, the waves that you ride, sometimes the waves that overtake you as an entrepreneur. But I believe that when it's in your bones, or in your blood, you can't shake it. You just find a way to do something else. Your mind is always spinning. You're always working in those higher faculties to think of ways to innovate, to create, to influence, to impact. I mean, that's what you live for. And so today, in celebration of National Entrepreneur Day, I want to go over a few, it's actually 5. And there are many attributes that are aligned with the entrepreneur. And I'm trying to figure out why my system isn't working right now. Let's see if I can get it open here. There we go. And what I found is there are, again, many attributes that are common to the entrepreneur. And I wanted to pick those attributes that define what I classify as the successful entrepreneur, that entrepreneur that has that stick-to-itiveness, that entrepreneur that wakes up with excitement and joy because of what's set before them, because of that mission, because of that purpose. That gives them that drive, that fuel, that even in the tough times, they're still hopeful, they're still optimistic, yet they are knowledgeable enough about their environments and surroundings that they know also when it might be the right time to cut bait, right? To reposition yourself in order to remain relevant in a very changing world. And we all saw that with the pandemic. So I'm going to see if this will cooperate so I can advance this for you. Now there are five attributes that I reflected on. And again, there are many that we can add to this. So this isn't inclusive, but it's just something to give thought to and for you to reflect on if you're an entrepreneur, if you're thinking about joining the entrepreneur ranks, where do you line up with these? So the first is imagination, pursuit, third, perseverance, the fourth is risk, and the fifth is sacrifice. And this is about celebrating those who dare or those who are daring, right? Because when you are stepping out as an entrepreneur, you're removing that safety net, if you will. And you're relying on yourself and your innovation and your ability to manage the shifts that are happening within your industry in order to create income for yourself and perhaps if you're an employer, income for others, right? So I want to unpackage these 5 pillars. So Mae Jemison was the first African American woman astronaut. And she said, never be limited by other people's limited imagination. Again, I want to repeat that. Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. An entrepreneur is fueled by their own imagination, right? They're in that in that higher faculty, always thinking forward, always looking at refinement, getting better, getting faster, right? But how many of us in the entrepreneurial ranks have heard that's not going to work? Why are you spending your time doing that? You need to give it up. You're never going to make it happen. Why don't you go back to corporate America? At least you know you got a guaranteed paycheck. We've all been there. We've all heard it. And it's not to slight those that are saying it. Some are haters, but for the most part, these are people who are around us that care about us and they want to see us succeed. And they're fearful for possibly failing. But I look at our journey in entrepreneurship it's a learning journey. It's a discovering journey. And some things may not work out as planned, but you're feeling yourself forward, right? You're feeling yourself into success. It's learning from those opportunities and or challenges and improving each time around. Now, the tragedy is if you keep going around that mountain and you haven't learned a lesson in it, then you may need to think what you're doing and why you're doing it. But I challenge you to, it's okay to listen to what other people are saying, but don't allow it to influence you. Don't allow it to compartmentalize you or box you in to where you start to doubt your own dreams. You start to doubt your own vision. You know, when we think about so many of the great innovators out there, scientists, influencers, many people were saying, you can't do it. Perhaps it was because, you know, here you have Mae Jemison. I'm certain she heard, really, you're aspiring to be an astronaut? You're a Black woman and you're aspiring to be an astronaut? She could have taken that and said, yeah, you're right. Maybe that's a little too lofty of a goal, and put it aside and said, I'll be okay. I'll be this level of scientist. But she said, no, I'm going to push through. I'm going to believe that I can break through that gender bias, that racial bias, and I can blaze a trail so that the next generation of STEM girls can aspire and hope to achieve even more than I've done before. So I encourage you, whatever your dreams are in your entrepreneurship, in your business, to not allow yourself to be limited. And if you, for whatever reason, have stopped dreaming, because sometimes that can happen in entrepreneurship, we get caught up in the grind, the day to day, our head is down, that we forget to look up, we forget to step back, we forget to allow ourselves time to truly reflect. And I'm not talking about that quick dash in, dash out, but I'm saying that time to get in that creative, innovative, expressive space. That's sanctuary for the entrepreneur. And once you're there, the mind starts to reveal the doors of opportunity that you can go through, because there are many doors that will lead you to where you want to go. But if you allow, again, yourself to be limited by what people are saying, which then shifts how you start thinking and perceiving of yourself and your capabilities and that of your business, you become crippled and paralyzed, and you find yourself in that do loop. And I want to ask you, look at where you are right now as we're ending 2022. As we're ending 2022, look at where you are right now. And look at where you were January 1st of 2022. And ask yourself honestly, how much shift have you made? How much advancement have you made towards that goal? How many things have you accomplished? Are you still wishing, hoping, and thinking and praying, but you're still spinning in the same space? You're being busy, but you're not creating impact. You're not creating the momentum to move you forward. What has created that limitation within yourself? And how can you break through that limitation and get back into that imaginary playing field so that you can optimize your chances of winning? Now, the next area is Walt Disney. I love Walt Disney. Walt Disney says all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So this goes beyond the dreaming. The dreaming is wonderful, right? But it's the action that advances the manifest, that causes the dream to be manifested, that advances us, propels us forward, right? It's the action, and we have to be courageous. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, it can be very scary. You're oftentimes building the plane as you're flying, and you don't know if that plane is going to stay airborne or not. You don't know. And so I just encourage you to stay courageous, be encouraged, even in the down times. Find a way to be grateful for where you are, for that creative mind that you have, for that idea that you have. Be thankful and appreciative for it. And then ask if you believe in, I believe in God, but your higher self, your higher power, ask, how can I manifest this? How can I let go of this fear, right? The false evidence appearing real. How can I let go of that and embrace courage to say, I dare to do this? Because if you don't move forward, you're going to be exactly where you were when you were fearful of what if I move forward. So let's take a chance, right? And gird ourselves up and say, yes, I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to take it one step at a time and allow it to allow each success to build upon itself, to create scalable opportunities for success. I find that when I'm guiding and consulting, whether it's a small business or a large company, when you put too much on the table, it can become very overwhelming and stifling, right? You just become petrified because it's so much. Well, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. You have to dissect everything that you want to do. And as visionaries, as creators, we can think of a lot of stuff, right? But now let's go through the stuff. Let's look at those meaningful things that we can do, those strategic steps, those tactics that are going to get us application by application, step by step to where we want to go. So I encourage you to think about what Walt Disney says, do some self-reflection, and ask yourself, again, look at where you are today. Look at where you were January 1st, 2022, and ask yourself, have I moved the needle? And if not, could fear have been a factor? And if so, how can I overcome that? How can I change my self-talk in order to propel myself forward? Steve Jobs, we all know who Steve Jobs is, the co-founder of Apple and an inventor. He stated, I am convinced that about 1.5 of what separates a successful entrepreneur from the non-successful one is pure perseverance. And I have to say yes. I know in the 16 years of being in the mortgage and investment industry, I thought many times, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Maybe I should quit, especially during the 2007-2008 mortgage crisis. Everyone was bailing. Big banks were closing. My colleagues within other mortgage brokerages were closing. And I was thinking, maybe I should close too. I don't know. Am I foolish to keep on keeping hope alive? But we persevered. We pressed through. And here we are, celebrating 17 years in business. Perseverance sometimes means that you have to walk away when you know without a doubt that particular direction is not going to work. Doesn't mean the dream dies, but maybe the strategy in which to achieve the dream has to shift. So you really want to think about, again, what Steve Jobs said is he believes that one of the key separators from the successful entrepreneurs and those that aren't, those that are spinning their wheels, is pure perseverance. And when you're when you have that, when you're persevering, you are laser focused. You are laser focused on where you're going. You're not easily distracted. And if there are distractions come, you can quickly right the ship and get back in line with where you want to go. You are committed and sold out for your vision. And you keep pressing, you keep pressing, you keep pressing, you keep pressing. And some people experience success in 3 to 5 years. Some it takes longer. But the bottom line is, when you get there, it's just as sweet. Success feels just as great, right? So just think about it again, what Steve Jobs said about perseverance, and ask yourself, are you persevering in your lane, in your business? Are you committed? Are you sold out for you and that vision and that mission that encompasses your company? Robert Kiyosaki, who is, I have here, he's the co-founder of Apple and an inventor. And no, he's not. I didn't change that part of the slide. But he is a businessman and he is an author. And he's a teacher and a major influencer. And one of the things he says is everyone can tell you the risk, but an entrepreneur can see the reward. And that is so true. People can always see the pitfalls, the what ifs, the dark side, right? But even in the darkness, that entrepreneur is able to see the light. Even in the tunnel, they're able to see that there is an end to it. Even in that, let's think about it. I'll use this analogy. When you're thinking about homes and people buying these investment properties that are dilapidated, and you're thinking, why are you buying that property? Just tear it down. It's uninhabitable. There is nothing there. But yet they have a vision and they can see beyond the brokenness of the building, right? They can see beyond the facade into the land of possibilities. And that's where the strength of an entrepreneur lies, is that, yeah, they recognize there are risks around. They see they're the landmines, they're the pitfalls, they're the potholes in the road. But I can see the reward because I can see that my way of navigating around it to, again, that ultimate end that I've purposed for myself, that ultimate impact that I say I want to have, right? That ultimate legacy that I say I want to live. So they celebrate the reward as though it's already here, as though it's already now. Every day, the vision of that reward is what propels them forward. It's what causes them to get out of bed. It's what excites and ignites them. Where are you? Are you busy focusing on the risk, on the lack, on the limits? Are you focused on the reward and the possibilities and the opportunities that are all around? Life is as you choose to see it, right? I'm going to pause right now. We are celebrating National Entrepreneur Day. And I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, which is my company, the Bradford Group. Okay. Well, at the Bradford Group, again, we are investment mortgage brokerage. And if you are out there thinking, what am I going to do in this market? Rates are going up. There's a lot of uncertainty. I don't know. It's always a good time to invest. It's always a good time to invest in real estate. The thing is, you have to find a strategy that works best for you. And we are here to talk to you, to develop your plan of action, to help guide you in your investment needs, or if you happen to have a commercial property and you're thinking about how do I restructure this property, if you have a debt on the property, or if you're looking to harvest equity out and do some other things with it. We're here to talk to you about those strategies and those opportunities given your particular lane and where you are and where you want to go. And then we bring to you a portfolio of products to say, okay, does this make sense for you? Based upon what we've heard, this is what we can offer, and these are some suggested approaches for you to take going forward. So we would love to just have a conversation with you. If you're interested in investing in real estate, if you're a seasoned real estate investor, if you're a commercial business owner and you're wondering, what can I do with this property of mine? How can I maximize it so that I can allow my money to start working for me in the most productive way? Give us a call at the Bradford Group. Visit us at bradfordgroupmtg.com. We'll love to just have a conversation with you. And it's a complimentary conversation. Sitting down, developing, again, that strategic roadmap for your finances and your business. Now let's go on to the next one. And this is by Maya Angelou. And she says, whatever, Maya Angelou is a poet, civil rights activist, and she stated, whatever you want to do, if you want to be great at it, you have to love it and be able to make sacrifices for it. So this is the fifth and final pillar. Whatever you want to do, if you want to be great at it, you have to love it and be able to make sacrifices for it. How much sacrifice are you willing to make in your business as an entrepreneur? Ask yourself that. Are you looking for things just to come at you? You just magnetize everything, but it takes no effort of your part. Sometimes sacrifice means we have to take a little time away from family. Sometimes it might be denying ourselves a little bit of sleep. Sometimes it's working when other people are sleeping. We're having to pull back. But I guarantee you, as an entrepreneur, if you are committed to that vision that you've cast for yourself and your company, there is some sacrifice that you're making along the way. But what, again, propels you forward is the reward that you see at the end. One individual said that entrepreneurs are the individuals who are willing to do today what most people are not willing to do, so that they can enjoy the life that most people will never see. Think about that. Again, how committed, how tapped in, tuned in, turned on, sold out for you and your business are you? Are you willing to make those sacrifices? Are you willing to do what it takes in order to be successful? And we're about at the end, and I want to close with this. I want you to realize in business that momentum is your friend. The hardest thing is to prime that pump. But once you prime it and that water starts flowing, you want to keep the flow going. The most difficult thing you can do in business is that start, stop. Having that idea, getting excited, getting it started, but never following through. It's like starting a race and you just get halfway around the track and you stop. But you've done all this training for this race, but you just don't continue. That's where commitment is. So we can have intention all day long. John Assaraf talks a lot about that, being intentional versus committed. We can intend to do a lot of stuff. We can tell ourselves a lot of things. We can say things to our customers, say things to our partners. But our actions always reveal how committed we truly are. Now, we can deceive ourselves if we want to. But again, ask yourself, where are you right now to where you were at the beginning of the year? Look at those goals, look at those visions that you set for yourself, and ask yourself, how much have you moved the needle? See, the universe will respond in kind to you. When you are committed, when you are focused, when you're persistent, it is going to yield to you all that you've planted, all that you've given. But when you have that inconsistency, when you're talking the talk, but you're truly not walking the walk, that's where you're going to feel that start, stop, or those squirrel moments, right? Where it's, oh, let me quickly pivot. Let me jump on this bandwagon. Let me jump on that bandwagon. Everything is more exciting than your vision for yourself. So just keep in mind that momentum is your friend. You want to build momentum and you want to ride that wave and you want to keep fueling it forward. You want to be the entrepreneur who is running and building momentum as the next lap quickly approaches. I want to say that again. You want to be the entrepreneur who is running and building momentum as the next lap approaches. And that next lap, ladies and gentlemen, is 2023. It's right around the corner. Have you built momentum? Are you getting ready to sail or soar into 2023? Are you just now like, oh, holiday season's coming up and I'm going to get in relaxed mode. I got to check out for a little bit. It doesn't mean that you don't rest and you don't have vacations. That's not what I'm saying. But when you have a business that has momentum and it has systems and processes in place, then it can operate successfully when you're there, when you're not there. It's not totally reliant on your sole effort. And let's say you are a one-person shop and it is all you. How much more important is it for you to have that momentum? Right? Because when you have momentum, it's a little bit easier because the same effort that it took you to initially prime the pump, if you stopped the momentum, you got to start all over again. It's going to require that same level of effort to get it jump started, to get it going again. And that can be very tiring after a while. It can become very fatiguing and it can cause you to be filled with a lot of self-doubt and questioning. So think about how you're moving forward in your business. And again, be that entrepreneur who is running and building momentum as the next lap quickly approaches, because 2023 is just around the corner. And I'm excited because we are offering a Black Friday special and it's coming to you on November 25th of this year. And as a little teaser for that, we're going to be sharing with you a package to help you go beyond strategic planning to strategic relevancy. There is a tactic in doing that. When you position yourself to become relevant, you're looking at your business, your customers, your strategic partners, your investors in a very different way. Your messaging, your branding, your positioning is done very differently. But when you're only focused on the quote unquote strategic planning, in your mind, it's an exercise that I have to do every year. It's an annual exercise that I do every year. But as a certified strategic planner, I talk about the art of strategic planning, the art of strategic thinking, because it's a way of being. As an entrepreneur, you should always have a strategic mindset in everything that you do. And it is a learned skill set. You don't just wake up and say, whoa, okay, now I think strategically. But we're going to teach you how to go beyond strategic planning to strategic relevancy so that you can create the impact, the influence, and increase your income. That's why we're in business, right? We want to be in business to create impact, to create influence, and to increase our bottom line and increase what we're able to take home for ourselves so that we can build legacy, so that we can impact the next generation. But it does require a different mindset. It requires a strategic lens. And that's what we're going to provide to you. And I'm just so excited about this Black Friday special that we're offering. And it will only be offered this time of the year. And it's for those that, again, are serious entrepreneurs, that you're serious about momentum, that you're sick and tired of saying, okay, I'm planning, and every year I'm kind of in the same place, or I'm planning and maybe I increased my income by $5,000, but that's it. You worked a whole year and you were making 95,000 and now you're making 5. And that's another part of this, an additional part of this conversation that we're going to have is, what are you really making? Millen Livis was talking today about, and she's a financial expert, she was talking about that most people do not know, just looking at last month, how much money they spent. Let's not talk about the whole year, but just last month, how much they are spending. And I responded to her, I said, yes, and most small businesses cannot tell you how much they're spending. I was talking to one individual and she was saying how much she made. I'm like, okay, great. So we'll use simple math. I made $100,000. Fantastic. Well, how much did it cost you to earn that $100,000? And she looked at me puzzled and kind of scratching her head. What do you mean? I said, what was the cost of doing business? What was your acquisition cost for those clients? What was the cost of those goods and services that you sold to that client? When you put all that together and you look at it mathematically, how much money did you really make? And she goes, well, I made more than I did last year. I said, I understand that. Last year you may have been making 75,000. This year you made 100,000. But how much did it cost you to make that 100,000? Well, long story short, we found out that she has spent far more to make the 100,000 than she realized. So she really wasn't she wasn't profitable. In her mind, on paper, she's just looking at that one number. She thought, yes, I'm profitable. But when she added the cost of doing business and all of these unexpected expenses that she was doing, all of these unbudgeted expenses, these trainings, these trips that she was taking under the guise of business, in which they could have been, right? She still needed to factor all of that in. And she was surprised to see that her business wasn't making money. It was actually losing money because of lack of not having a solid, sound financial management system in place, a sound knowledge of her business and the cost of doing business. Was she priced right? Too high, too low? She didn't know. She just guessed. So when we talk about the strategic relevancy in this package that we're going to offer, we go into those. We go into your stakeholders and your partners. We go into your finances, including the whole return on investment. We talk about your clients, and we talk about the mission and the vision and the products and services. So looking at all of that aggregately, understanding the dollars tied to it, and then asking you to define what are the goals that you have and how are you going to move forward in order to achieve those goals. So it's a very interesting model that we're going to use. It's not going to be your traditional strat plan model, but it's a complement to that. But it enables you to get into that creative mindset of your business, take up the owner of responsibility, and say, I can do this. I can make a difference. I can leverage momentum. I can leverage these other components in order to increase my impact, my influence, and income with my business. So I am excited about 2023. I'm excited about all that my business is doing. We're about to launch a new product, which will be in January. Everything goes right. We're getting rid of some bugs, but real excited about on both sides of the house some things that we're doing. And I'm wishing and hoping the best for you and your business. I want to wish all of you happy National Entrepreneur Day. Thank you so much for joining me on another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no holds barred forum for leaders and innovators. And if you are interested in being a guest on Raw Talk, simply email me at LaWanna@bradfordgroupmtg.com. Enter Raw Talk in the subject line, and someone from our team will get back with you and get you on the schedule. We're scheduling out for 2023 already. So we want to get you on the schedule, and we'll talk about the format of this show, because it's conversational, not an interview, but it's conversational to elevate and celebrate your expertise and knowledge and help us to challenge individuals to break outside the box and become creative and take ownership in their business and in their finances. So with that, I want to say thank you all for joining me for another edition of Choose to Challenge. I am LaWanna Bradford with the Bradford Group and the Bradford Group Consulting. And I want you to remember that in life and in business, when your dreams intersect with opportunity, success is inevitable. Until next week, have a blessed week and happy National Entrepreneur Day. Good night, everyone. And I'm still here, waiting to go. Have a wonderful evening.